You're not crazy. You're not overthinking. You're not insecure. You're picking up signs your soul already knows, but you've been trained to doubt. She doesn't smile the same. Her touch is colder. She lights up when she's texting, just not when she's with you. You're not imagining any of it. You've been taught to ignore what your instincts scream, but this is the moment you wake up, because every man needs to hear this before it's too late. This video is not for men who want comfort. It's for those who want clarity. It's for the man who's tired of feeling like he's begging for scraps in a relationship he used to feel safe in. It's for the man who senses something has changed, but is too afraid to name it. The truth is this: when a woman cheats, she doesn't announce it. She leaves clues, signs, subtle shifts, changes in energy you can't quite explain, but feel deep in your chest. And if you don't know how to see them, you'll stay confused, you'll stay stuck, and you'll be played. So listen carefully, because what you're about to hear will change how you see every relationship, forever. The world won't teach you this. Not your school, not your friends, definitely not the media. In today's world, men are taught to suppress, obey, and perform. You're told, be more sensitive. Don't question her. Trust her, even if your gut disagrees. Meanwhile, you suffer in silence. You can't speak up without being labeled insecure. You're walking on eggshells while your mind screams. This video is your permission slip to trust yourself again. This is where you learn to stop doubting what you already know. And yes, there is a way out. Not just survival, but transformation. And that's why I created the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook, a tool created specifically for men like you, a tool that breaks the fog and gives you your power back. It's now available to the public, but it won't be for long. This is knowledge that must be preserved and protected. Support the channel, get the book, and help bring this message to every man who needs it. Now let's break this down. Number 1, she's physically there, but emotionally gone. You walk into the room and she's sitting on the couch. Same spot, same hoodie, same air between you. But something in that moment cuts deeper than words ever could, because her eyes don't lift, her energy doesn't shift, and it's as if your presence no longer registers, not even as a ripple in her world, and you feel it, not with logic, but with your entire body. The shift from connection to absence, the way a room can still be full and yet feel hollow, like a body without breath. You try to speak, to share something that made you laugh earlier, something that used to light her up, but what you get in return is a distracted nod, a lifeless, "That's funny," and it hits you right then in your gut, that you're standing in a space that used to feel like home, but now feels like exile, and she's not being cruel. No, she's being indifferent, and that's what hurts more, because a stranger might reject you, but when someone you once held close now looks through you as if you've vanished, it carves you from the inside out. You find yourself trying harder, doing more, making plans, offering ideas, even fixing what isn't broken, just to earn back that warmth, that spark. But nothing lands, and the silence between you stretches longer and heavier each day, like a weight pressing on your chest every time you try to be seen. You think back to when she would light up at your voice, when your name made her smile, when she'd reach for your hand in public just because she could, and now that hand lies still, scrolling through strangers, chasing stimulation that you no longer provide, and you're not clueless. You know what this means, even if you've avoided the words. You're being replaced, not by a man necessarily, but by an absence of feeling, by a detachment so strong it erases you one day at a time. And here's the part nobody tells you. When a woman checks out emotionally, she doesn't throw a tantrum, she doesn't declare war, she just fades, like mist off a morning field. And unless you're awake to the truth, You'll sit there trying to love a version of her that no longer exists, blaming yourself, thinking if you change, if you sacrifice more, if you just hold on longer, maybe she'll return, but she won't because she's already gone. And you have to ask yourself, what does it cost you to keep holding space for someone who no longer occupies it? And when does your loyalty turn into self-betrayal? And if she never sees you again the way she used to, can you live with that? Because the longer you stay in denial, the deeper you sink into a version of yourself that forgets his own value. And if you don't act now, you won't just lose her, you'll lose the man you were meant to become. Number 2. Her phone becomes a private world. There was a time when her phone was just a phone, a tool for connection, laughter, plans, and shared memories. You'd send her something funny, and she'd reply in seconds, tagging you in memes, calling you just to say she missed your voice. But now it's a fortress, a shield, a screen she disappears into, one that pulls her away from you inch by inch. And it starts with small things, like how she suddenly tilts the screen when you walk into the room, or locks it faster than you can blink, or smiles at a message she never explains. And your body knows something before your mind can catch up, that she's giving her presence to somewhere else, someone else. And the phone, that little rectangle in her hand, has become more intimate than you are. It receives her attention, her laughter, her focus, and you, the man who built a life with her, now sit in the shadows of unread texts and late-night scrolling. You ask her, gently at first, who she's texting, and her face tightens, her tone sharpens. Why are you being insecure? She throws at you, not realizing, or maybe fully realizing, that it's not the phone you fear. It's what the phone reveals, and more importantly, what it hides. And now you're in a space where every ping feels like a punch, where every turned screen is a wall between you, and you start doubting yourself. Are you overthinking? Are you controlling? But deep down, you know you're not. The truth is, she's hiding something, not always someone, but something. Conversations, connections, curiosities she no longer shares with you, and you wonder when that shift happened. When she stopped bringing her world to you and started building another one without you. And it's not the secrets that kill you, it's the replacement. It's watching a device, a screen, a feed, get more of her than you do. And the moment you ask questions, you're painted as the villain, as if basic curiosity is an invasion. But let me ask you this. What does it say about trust when transparency is met with hostility? And how long will you lie to yourself just to avoid the truth staring back at you every time she giggles at a screen she won't let you near? You see, when her phone becomes a sacred space and your presence becomes disposable, she's not just drifting, she's already gone, and what you do next determines whether you stay the man trying to earn her attention back, or become the man who refuses to compete with a digital fantasy for intimacy that should have been yours from the beginning. Number 3, she's always tired or busy. The first time she tells you she's tired, you believe her because you're empathetic. You understand that life is demanding, that some days drain more than others, and you give her space, you give her grace, and you wait. But soon, the tired becomes constant, the busyness becomes routine, and you realize she's no longer tired from the day. She's tired of you. She doesn't say it, but she shows it. And the woman who used to rearrange her schedule just to get 10 more minutes with you now struggles to text you back. The woman who used to fight sleep to hear about your day now uses fatigue as a weapon of distance, an excuse dressed up in tenderness, and you start to feel it. Not all at once, but slowly, insidiously, like a man watching his home collapse brick by brick under the weight of unspoken disinterest. The dinners stop, the movie nights vanish, and every attempt you make is met with another variation of, "I've just been so swamped lately." And it doesn't matter that she somehow finds the time for Instagram stories, for brunches, for events, for conversations that light her face up when you're not around. Because when it comes to you, she has no energy. And that's not love, that's replacement without announcement. And now you sit there, alone, planning things for two that always end up for one, trying not to take it personally, telling yourself it's just a phase, maybe it's her job, maybe she's just overwhelmed, and so you keep showing up, waiting for her to return. But she's not coming back, and she's not tired. She's emotionally disengaged, and she's using busyness as the veil for disconnection. You start to realize that effort has become one-sided, that love has become a chore for her, and you replay her old enthusiasm in your mind like it's a movie from another lifetime. And here's the hardest truth you'll ever face. When a woman stops making time, it's not because she doesn't have it, it's because she doesn't want to give it to you. Energy doesn't disappear, it gets redirected. And now you're on the outside watching her build moments, memories, and momentum with everything and everyone but you, and you keep shrinking, questioning yourself, wondering if you're enough. But this isn't about your worth, it's about her choice. And when someone chooses to starve a relationship, it dies not from cruelty, but from the absence of care. And no man deserves to sit in the shadows of someone's selective effort, hoping to be prioritized again, because when you become optional to someone who was once essential to you, the only choice left is to rise or rot. Number 4. She reacts angrily to innocent questions. You ask her a simple question, one that any man would ask, one that a healthy relationship could hold without shattering, and instead of an answer, you get a tone shift, a sharp breath, eyes that narrow like you've just insulted her soul, and she turns it on you. Why are you so paranoid? Do you not trust me? Are you trying to control me now? And just like that, the conversation that started from curiosity turns into conflict, not because your question was wrong, but because your question touched a truth she's desperate to hide. And in that moment, you realize it's not about the content of your question, it's about the fact that you asked, because honesty doesn't flinch, but secrets do. And now you're standing there, confused, hurt, questioning yourself, wondering if you overstepped. And the saddest part is, you start to believe maybe you did, because she's painted you as the villain, the insecure one, the overthinker, and suddenly the weight of guilt that should be hers is sitting in your chest, suffocating you with second-guessing. And this isn't an accident, this is a tactic, and it's not just manipulation. It's narrative warfare, where your reasonable doubt becomes a weapon used against your clarity, and you begin to realize that the woman who once welcomed your questions with openness now guards her world with hostility. And you ask yourself why. Why does an innocent question make her explode? Why does she need to defend herself so fiercely if there's nothing to hide? And you already know the answer, because guilt deflects, because when there's deception, exposure feels like danger, and she's more invested in protecting her image than in protecting your trust. And the worst part is, she's rehearsed this. She's flipped the script so many times that now even your own truths feel shaky. And that's the cost of loving someone who twists clarity into chaos. You find yourself tiptoeing around conversations, avoiding topics that used to be natural, censoring yourself not to keep peace, but to avoid punishment. And that's not love. That's captivity dressed up as connection. And if you don't stop, if you keep tolerating explosions in response to your vulnerability, you'll lose yourself in her narrative. And one day, you won't even remember what it felt like to speak freely, to ask without fear, to be heard without being burned. And that's why you have to see it now, because the man who questions with calm and gets rage in return is not wrong. He's just getting too close to a truth she refuses to admit, and you don't need her confession to see it. You need your courage to stop tolerating disrespect as the cost of affection. Number 5. Her sex drive plummets instantly. One day, she couldn't keep her hands off you. She'd grab your shirt when you walked by, pull you close when the world was loud, trace your jawline like you were art, and now she barely flinches when you touch her. Her kiss is mechanical, her hug is quick, and every time you initiate even a moment of intimacy, you're met with deflection, with tired eyes, with a sigh that says more than any words ever could, and you feel it. Not just in her rejection, but in the way her body now recoils from what it once chased. And no, this isn't about biology or stress or rough weeks. This is about disinterest, pure and cold, because when desire dies, it doesn't ask for permission. And she didn't warn you because she didn't have to. Her actions already screamed it. And now you're left in this emotional drought trying to ration your affection so you don't scare her off, making excuses for her every disconnection, every lukewarm kiss, every dry, maybe later, and you're spiraling, wondering what you did wrong. But the hardest truth is that you didn't do anything. You just stopped being the man who made her heart beat faster, and whether it's because she found someone else in her head or just grew numb to what used to ignite her, the outcome is the same. You're starving for connection in a house that pretends to call itself love, and every time you try to bring back the spark, you burn yourself in the process. She starts dressing better for places you're not invited to. She lights up on calls that you never hear, and the body that once felt like home now feels like an unanswered prayer. And when you confront her, she hides behind comfort, tells you, "We're more than sex," or "Intimacy isn't everything," and yet you watch her flirt with strangers through screens, laugh louder with men who don't know half of what you carry, and every time she lays beside you with her back turned, you wonder if this is just a phase or the final act. And the truth most men avoid is this: when a woman loses her desire for you, she rarely fights to get it back. And if you fight for it too long, you'll forget what it feels like to be wanted, to be touched with intention, to be kissed like your existence matters. And so you pull away quietly, your confidence shrinking each time your hand is brushed off, each time your needs are labeled as pressure. And that's where the death of a man begins. Not in rage or betrayal, but in slowly convincing himself that he doesn't deserve to be desired anymore. And that lie can kill more men than truth ever could. Number 6. You no longer feel respected. It starts subtly. She interrupts you mid-thought, corrects your phrasing in front of others, makes light of your dreams with a smirk you can't unsee, and you brush it off, because you love her, because you think that's just how couples tease. But slowly, the teasing sharpens, the corrections become criticisms, and the respect you used to feel in her gaze fades like light at dusk, and you notice that she no longer values your voice, not in arguments, not in decisions, not in the way she used to. And now you're in a relationship where you have to raise your volume just to feel heard, where your wins are met with disinterest, and your failures are amplified like proof that she was right to stop admiring you. The woman who used to ask your opinion now makes decisions without you, not because she's stronger, but because she stopped seeing you as a partner worth consulting, and every man reaches a point where he feels it. Not just a lack of support, but an erosion of dignity, like you've become background noise in your own relationship, a voice she tolerates but no longer reveres, and it cuts deep, because men don't need worship, but we need respect. We need to feel like the woman we love sees us as capable, as grounded, as a presence she can lean into. And when that disappears, it doesn't just hurt, it redefines you, and you start adjusting yourself to avoid her jabs. You pull back from expressing ideas she'll mock. You water down your boldness just to avoid another sarcastic look. And this isn't partnership anymore, it's psychological submission. And the worst part is, most men live here longer than they should because we convince ourselves it's just a phase, just her mood, just a rough patch. But what it really is a withdrawal of reverence. And that is the deepest cut a woman can give a man, not to leave him, but to stay while making him feel unworthy of admiration. And if you don't reclaim your center, her disrespect will start to define your identity, and you'll become a version of yourself who fears his own voice, who second-guesses every idea, who apologizes for simply existing, and that's when you know the respect is gone. Not because she said it, but because you stopped feeling like a man when you're around her, and when that moment comes, there's only one decision left: to stay and shrink, or to walk and rise. Number 7. She compares you to other men. She used to tell you you were the one she prayed for, the one who brought her peace, the one she couldn't wait to build with. But now her words have changed, not always directly, but in tone, in timing, in subtext, in the way she casually mentions another man's confidence, his success, his style, his ambition, as if those compliments were harmless, as if they weren't daggers dressed up as dialogue, and you feel the sting, not because you're insecure, but because you know what it means when the woman you chose begins to idolize someone else right in front of you, and it doesn't matter how subtle she is, how sweetly she wraps it. Every "he's so funny," every "I wish you were more like," cuts into your worth, and you try not to let it show. You tell yourself it's nothing, that she's just being playful, but deep down, you know it's not play. It's disrespect, it's displacement, it's her showing you that her desire is shifting without needing to say the words, and it makes you question everything. Why now? Why him? What changed? And then you start to shrink, not out of weakness, but out of confusion, trying to recalibrate yourself into whatever version of masculinity she seems to be drawn to lately. But that's the trap, because no matter how hard you try, you'll never be someone else, and you shouldn't have to be. Not for love, not for validation, not for peace. And if she can't admire you as you are, if her eyes light up for other men but dim for the man who stood beside her when no one else would, then she's not comparing, she's replacing, and the longer you tolerate it, the more she'll continue, until one day you're nothing but a shadow of yourself built by her critiques. And by then, it won't be about her anymore. It'll be about what you allowed, about how many times you let your dignity get traded for her twisted version of romance. And so you sit with that pain, not to suffer, but to understand, because once a woman starts lifting up other men in your presence while tearing down the one she chose, she is showing you what her heart is hungry for, and it's not you. Not right now, maybe not ever again. And you have to decide if you're going to stay in that space, eating crumbs of approval while starving for loyalty, or if you're going to walk out and become the man who never lets himself be measured by a woman who has already made her choice. Number 8. What to do when you see the truth. There's a moment, one you can't fake, can't outrun, can't forget, where everything she's done, every red flag you buried, every instinct you smothered to keep the peace, finally piles up, and you're staring at it all without filters, without hope, without denial, and it hits you like a punch you never saw coming. She's not who she used to be, and worse, you're not who you were before you met her. You've lost yourself in the name of trying to hold something that's already broken, and now you're left standing there, heart torn, eyes open, knowing that the man you want to be can't be built in a place that's slowly destroying him. And the hardest part isn't seeing the truth, it's acting on it. It's admitting that no matter how much you love her, no matter how many memories you've shared, no matter how many plans you carved in stone, the person she's become is no longer aligned with your peace, your values, your vision. And that hurts more than betrayal, because it's not just about losing her. It's about losing who you were when you believed she'd be forever. And you'll want to fight it, to bargain, to hope she'll see the light, to wait for her to change. But deep down, you know that staying now means sacrificing yourself piece by piece. And if you keep choosing her at the expense of yourself, one day you'll look in the mirror and not recognize the man staring back. And so, what do? You take your pain and you build with it. You go back to the gym not to look good for her, but to rebuild the temple she forgot how to worship. You write down your vision again, the one you abandoned to chase hers. You start waking up early, moving with intention, saying no to distractions and yes to discipline, because your healing doesn't begin with her apology. It begins with your accountability, with you saying enough and meaning it. And the truth is, you don't have to hate her to outgrow her, but you do have to stop lying to yourself just to keep her. And once you commit to that truth, your energy shifts, your path realigns, and every step you take from that moment forward is no longer about her. It's about you becoming the man who doesn't need a woman's loyalty to feel worthy, because you are building a life so clear, so powerful, so unapologetically whole, that the right people won't question your worth. They'll feel blessed just to be near it. And that kind of man, he doesn't beg, he doesn't explain, he simply decides, and that decision is where your freedom begins. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. You've seen it, felt it, lived it. And now, the question is, will you keep lying to yourself just to stay comfortable? Or will you finally grab the weapon every man should have had years ago? Because the Stoic relationship blueprint is not some feel-good guide. It's the raw, brutal, unfiltered manual for men who are done being used, lied to, gaslit, and broken by women who smile while tearing you apart behind your back. This is the ebook that rewires how you deal with women, with power, with purpose, and it's linked right now in the comments. Don't wait for another betrayal to wake you up. If you're tired of wasting time, tired of giving loyalty to women who don't even respect your voice, and ready to live with absolute clarity and power, comment the Stoic Blueprint below, so the world knows you're not one of the weak ones sleepwalking through life. Like this video, subscribe, and help us wake up more men, because the truth is, one share of this video could save a man years of regret.